My name is Steve Layton, and I travel the world finding amazing and delicious coffee for you to drink at home. Some make coffee difficult to understand and complicated, but here it's my job to make it easy and fun and tell you what's in my mug. Hello everybody and welcome to In My Mug episode 435. It is a pleasure to see you. It's very good of you to join me again, drinking coffee and talking rubbish. I am excited about this week's coffee though. It's a coffee that we've had before, and it's from a farm that was planted in 2014. So we're really only starting to see the real results come from it this year. Next year will be the big year where we see a lot more come from it. It is from Bolivia. It is called Finca Don Carlos. It is a Catuai varietal. Catuai is a varietal that was developed in Brazil, I believe in the 80s, if I'm remembering correctly. Go fact check me, what you're going to do. And it is owned by the Rodriguez family. Rodriguez family have a long history of growing coffee in Bolivia. They've owned, well, not growing coffee, sorry, of beaning coffee. They own a wet mill in Caranavi, which is around about 90 kilometres from La Paz, and it is probably the only place in Bolivia that is doing specialty coffee. It's probably the only place that is really doing the quality that we would want and expect. And it's such a small producing country. 20 to 30,000 bags a year. To put that in context, next week's coffee that we're going to be doing produces 80,000 bags on one farm, which is in Brazil. So you can see that it is a very, very small producing country. We should go and look at the fact file so we can learn a little bit more about Bolivia. Never had a song for the fact file. I should have. Maybe I should have a song that says, figures may change, cause we got it wrong, figures may change. We're looking at Bolivia, and of course, the wonderful country of Bolivia. 25,000 hectares devoted to coffee. So, not a massive amount in the grand scheme of coffee world production. They're the 33rd biggest coffee producer, which means they're incredibly small. Total coffee production, around about 25 to 50,000 bags, depending on who you believe. Common varietals, well, there's a lot of Typica, Catura, Catuai, but you start to see more things like Bourbon and Geishas and Java Nicks come into it. Coffee grown 800 to 2,300 metres above sea level. Some of the highest coffee in the world grown there. 22 farms we work with there. 22. It's crazy. But this week's farm is Finca Don Carlos from Bolivia in North Yungas, near to the town of Caranavi. It is a washed Catuai, and it is grown 1450 to 1650 metres above sea level. And that is this week's fact file. So the Rodriguez family, you've got Daniela, who is the daughter of Pedro, and then you also have the son of Pedro, who's Pedro Pablo, all involved in the everyday workings of managing the farms and managing the mill. Have been good friends of mine since 2006. I first met Pedro back then, and I've subsequently met Daniela and Pedro Pablo afterwards. But they have been helping us get some of the best coffees that we've had. Not just the best coffees from Bolivia. I really find that they are the highlights for me. They are coffees that really make me happy and make me smile. It is a very difficult place to do business. It's a very difficult place to grow coffee and export, with it being a landlocked country. But they managed to kind of jump all of these hurdles and still produce this amazing quality in the cup. Before we get too much further in, let's go and look at this week's map bit. Welcome to this week's map bit, and round and across we go to South America. Always happy to go to South America, you know me, but extremely happy to go to Bolivia, as it's well, just some delicious coffee. But he also has the world's highest lake, Lake Titicaca, which is deep enough for a boat to sail on. I wonder what kind of boat, though, because a puddle's big enough for a dinghy to float on, isn't it? I guess it doesn't mean that. But let's zoom down to the town of Caranavi, and in particular, Finca Don Carlos. Finca Don Carlos is one of the newer farms we're working with. As I've already said, owned by the Rodriguez family. And this is Don Carlos. Don Carlos is the manager of the mill and a very close friend of Pedro and the family. Has been with them for a long time. So they named it after him because he's been doing so much work there and he's doing a lot of the day-to-day management. A lovely guy. I've shared many a beer with him. He doesn't speak English and I don't speak Spanish, but we definitely speak beer English. Anyway. You can see just what a mountainous region this is. The highest point, Nevado Sajama, which is 6,542 metres, which is just disgustingly high. And the lowest point is Rio Paraguay at 90 metres, because, as I've said many, many times, a landlocked country. You can see Caranavi from the very top of the farm, but you can also see some other farms that we work with as well. La Linda, Camalito. It really is just a hot spot for great coffee, just like this one. So this is a washed coffee, and washed coffees, if you don't know what a washed coffee is, why haven't you watched my processing guides? Go look on the website. But a washed coffee tends to be where the coffee is put under water and fermented to make the mucilage come off. It's a little bit different in Bolivia. They tend to use the mechanical scrubbers to take the mucilage off, like through a depulping machine, which is the most common way to do it in Bolivia. What it tends to give you is a much cleaner cup. And in this one, I'm getting like lots of, it's kind of white grape, sugar, white sugar in particular. It's incredibly sweet, obscenely sweet actually. It's like somebody has put sugar into my coffee. And it also finishes with a beautiful, clean, sharp apricot flavour, which it's a great filter coffee. It really is. And this is where I find Bolivians really excel and really kind of show themselves to be amazing, is here and on the cupping table out there. They really are super. Let's go find out what Roland's got to say this week. Hello, Mr. Roland. Can we have your daft fact, please? In Bolivia, lollipop men and ladies have to dress up as a zebra to help children cross the road. Okay, so we're back and we're going to do the espresso. Espresso. I really haven't been in an espresso mood recently. Especially when other people make them for me. The white grape is just boom at the start. It's almost sparkling, effervescent type acidity. It's zingy. It's really kind of like almost like underripe grapes. You know, like when you bite them and they've kind of got that sour bitterness to them, in a good way. It's not a bad descriptor at all. But it lacks a little bit of body for me as an espresso. It's not as good as that brewed coffee I had just a few seconds ago. So, yeah, into the milk. And then the milk just lifts it again. What is this cappuccino thing? Last week's cappuccino was good. This week's cappuccino is good. The acidity is muted down as you would expect. And then you just get that white sugar hit come through. It's really surprising. I didn't expect that. I was expecting to say, I love the brewed coffee. These, well, they're okay. But that's good. The espresso, it's a little bit too tart for me. It's a little bit too much. Thank you for joining me. As I alluded earlier, we'll be having a Brazil next week. Oh, God, I love Brazils. I love Brazils. It's my guilty pleasure. And being a specialty coffee guy, I shouldn't love Brazils because everybody should love Kenyans and Ethiopians, and I like those too, you know I do, but I love Brazil, so it's very exciting to do next week's with a new varietal I don't know a lot about, so that will be interesting. Listen, thank you for joining me. Do come back next week. Do keep coming back forever because I'd be very lonely talking to myself. Oh, I am talking to myself. And do remember, life is too short for bad coffee.